Hi, P3. We are going to start chapter 9. We are going to find out what the president sent the telegram for. Is he going to meet up with Alan? What is going to happen? So let's find out. This is after Alan was talking to the psychiatrist, and his parents are really upset because he's still saying that he's a plant. And his dad is not very happy about it. He even said if the president believed him, he still wouldn't believe him. So let's see what happens in this chapter. Top secret, chapter 9. Things happened so quickly after that it is hard for me to remember everything. The telegram said that a car would pick me up at 3 that afternoon. I explained all about my letter to my folks. They didn't say much. They were stunned. At 10 minutes after 3, a brown car arrived with 2 men in it. Both men were tall and had dark hair. They both wore suits. They both had on sunglasses. They drove me to the Plaza Hotel. We rode the elevator together to the penthouse. No one said a word. Inside the penthouse, I was met by a white-haired man who looked very disappointed. "Why, you are just a boy," he said, "and a green boy at that." Whoever this man was, he was not the President of the United States. "I'm sorry, sir," I said, "but I was afraid that if the President knew my age, he wouldn't want to see me." The white-haired man thought for a moment, and I noticed several rows of wrinkles appear on his forehead. "You are right," he nodded. "He wouldn't have." "I didn't lie, sir. If the president would have asked me, I would have told him how old I was. It was just that—" The man waved his hand, indicating that he didn't want to discuss the matter any further. "I'm impressed with your cleverness." I smiled. So was I. "May I see the president now?" I asked. "He's not here." "What?" "The president had to return to Washington. He has a country to run, you know. But don't worry, I'm one of the president's chief's advisors. Name's Kirby, by the way." We shook hands, and Mr. Kirby led me into the penthouse living room, which had a blue rug, white furniture, and red drapes. The view was breathtaking. "The president," continued Mr. Kirby, "has given me strict orders to treat you with the utmost respect. So that's exactly what I'm going to do, even if you are only a boy." "I know about strict orders," I laughed. Mr. Kirby didn't. "In your letter," said Mr. Kirby, relaxing on one of the white couches, "you mentioned something about a discovery that would end world starvation. Was that the truth, or were you just being clever again?" "It was the honest truth, sir. I swear it." Mr. Kirby gave me a long look, and the wrinkles on his forehead appeared again. "I'm curious how a boy your age would approach the problem." He motioned towards an overstuffed easy chair. "Have a seat and tell me about it." I talked with the president's advisor for a whole hour. I told him all about my discovery, and about Miss Green and the silver trophy, and about my parents and Dr. Wiedemeyer, and the fact that nobody believed me except for Grandpa. "I don't expect you to believe me either, sir, not without proof. But I think I've figured out a way to prove it." "How's that?" Mr. Kirby looked at me without blinking. "You can watch me," I told him. "For a week, a month, for however long it takes. I won't eat anything. Nothing at all except water and sunlight. Have a doctor examine me every day. You'll see I stay healthy without eating. And if it works for me, then it will work for all the starving people in the world. What do you think?" Mr. Kirby sat motionless for a moment. Then he sprang off the couch and went into the room where I saw him make a phone call. Although I couldn't hear what he said, when he came back into the room, he looked very serious. The president says it's a go. All right. At first, my dad said no to the whole deal. But after he received a personal phone call from the president, he changed his mind. The next 10 days went by really fast. I stayed right there at the hotel with Mr. Kirby. We went swimming every day and had long talks and watched TV together in the evenings. The president's advisor liked monster movies just like Grandpop. Just before I went to bed every night, I was examined by a team of doctors. It was really fun. They would do all kinds of tests, muttering to themselves things like amazing or I can't believe it. They also asked me lots of questions about my discovery, like what kind of peanut butter did I use? Was it creamy style or crunchy? What kind of fish did my dad have in the saltwater aquarium? You should have seen their faces when I told them that one of the ingredients I used was liver. How could you drink it? One of the doctors asked, his face all twisted out of shape. It was rough, I told him. The doctors told me that they had their computers working 24 hours a day trying different combinations of my ingredients, hoping to duplicate my experiment. The whole thing reminded me of Grandpa's story about the cheese sandwich and the vat of gold. At the end of 10 days, during which time I had zero to eat except water, I declined any fertilizer. The president's advisor called off the test. He didn't look very happy when we met together to talk, so I asked him, "What's wrong? I proved it, didn't I?" Mr. Kirby didn't answer me right away. Instead, he handed me 2 small white pills and a glass of water. "Take one of these, Alan," he said, "and in the morning take the second one if you have to." "What are the pills for?" "They'll change you back to normal. Our computers figured out it's simply a matter of increasing the red blood cells until the effect of the magnesium is neutralized." "Then I did prove it, didn't I?" "I can't tell you that." "What do you mean you can't tell me?" "The discovery of human photosynthesis has been classified top secret, which means that any unauthorized disclosure could result in grave danger to the nation." "I don't understand, Mr. Kirby." "What I'm saying, Alan, is that your discovery is considered very, very important to the safety of the country. So important that only certain people are allowed to know whether it really works or not. And I'm afraid you are not one of them." "But it was my idea." "Not anymore, Alan. Now it belongs to the government." I was more confused than ever. "My discovery will end world starvation. Isn't that a good thing?" "Yes, it is. But there are many bad things about your discovery." "Like what? How could a discovery be bad?" I wondered. "For one thing," answered Mr. Kirby, "it would bring on the collapse of an entire economy. Businesses would go broke and millions of people would lose their jobs." "Why?" "Because if people don't have to eat, then there would be no need for food. And did you know, Alan, that the food industry is the largest industry in the country?" "No, I didn't." "Your discovery would put all the farmers out of work, and the cattle, all the cattlemen, and the fishermen, and all the people who process food and package it and transport it to market. Not to mention all the supermarkets and restaurants and hamburger stands. There would be no need for bread or milk or fruits or vegetables or lunch pails or thermos cup bottles or even toothpicks." "Toothpicks? If people don't eat, then they won't get food stuck in their teeth. Now will they?" "I didn't realize," I said, "but couldn't all these people find something else to do?" "That's the second thing wrong with your discovery," said the president's advisor. "One of the main reasons people work is because they have to eat. With your discovery, people would stop working. And if no one works, then how is the government going to stay in business? The government needs to tax people who work. That's how it gets its money. But if no one works, couldn't the government earn its money the way other people do?" "Don't be ridiculous," Mr. Kirby laughed. "What would you have us do? Sell vacuum cleaners?" "Sure, if that will keep people from starving." Mr. Kirby looked at me as if he had just hit in the head Okay, let me reread that again. Mr. Kirby looked at me as if he had just been hit in the head by a spit wad. I'm sorry, Alan, but my orders come from the president himself. Your discovery is to be considered top secret. You must promise that you will never tell anyone how you did it. But what about my parents and Miss Green? No one. Do I have your promise? I looked at the floor. Yes, I said. I promise. So remember how I told you all before that I look forward to eating, so I can't imagine, eating a certain or drinking a certain liquid or eating a certain food and saying, oh, I'm not going to eat for a week now. I mean, maybe I don't know what that feels like because Alan, discovered a way where he didn't even crave food. Like even though his mom would make him his favorite food, he still didn't care for it. So maybe if we did have this, you wouldn't even care for certain foods and you would find time to do something else. So the president's advisor, Mr. Kirby, is right that the whole economy would collapse because if people don't have a desire to eat, what are they going to do? That, of course, you work for other things. You don't just work to buy food, but food is a very important thing. You eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, you eat snacks, you look forward to it. A lot of people like to, get ice cream sundaes or like certain things like candy. And there's a big market for food and all kinds of things. So, if you don't have a desire for it, then, and everyone knows this, and you could potentially save hundreds, even thousands of dollars. I'm sure a lot of people would attempt to do it, but I don't know about them turning green. Maybe they wouldn't want to turn green. Maybe that would be something that they wouldn't want to do, or maybe they wouldn't want to get roots on their feet. So tell me what you think about the government saying that the food economy would collapse. Do you think it would really happen? Would you want to become a plant if you could, if you knew you didn't have to eat anymore or have the desire to eat? So think about that. All right, P3, I'll see you soon.